taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. We got a lot going on here. Hour 2 of C2C on a Terrible Towel Tuesday. Hockey about to start. What was that number on that total for the goals here in this game?
Well, this morning, as you saw with our board there, it was 6.5 this morning. I'm checking right now. I've got it at 5.5, so it's gone down.
Oh, God.
And I don't care. I'm still good at 5.5. I'm willing to go under on it. So, obviously, if you got 6.5 earlier, even better. But I don't see a lot of juice in that game today between Seattle and St. Louis. I really don't, Scotty. It's like a 3-1 game, 2-0 game. I think it's going to be that kind of, these guys are playing. I talk to you about this all the time. Creatures of habit, the NHL players are. They like getting up, morning skate, afternoon nap, back to the rink, get out. They love doing it. When they play these afternoon games, the quality of the product just goes right down. It's not the same. And you're talking about a game 1:30 on a Tuesday afternoon in Seattle. And you're supposed to be jacked up. It's the first game of the year. It's probably going to feel like it's still the preseason for these guys when they go out there for this game. It's not going to have the same juice that Florida. And now listen, there's talk. They probably shouldn't even be playing in Florida tonight, to be quite honest with you. With everything that's going on down there, they probably should have postponed Bruins and Panthers due to the hurricane blowing through there. But the juice that there'll be in Utah tonight, the juice that there would have been raising a banner in Florida, a lot different than 1:30 in the afternoon in Seattle.
Listen, I think the exodus in Florida is on the Gulf Coast, and it's in Tampa and Sarasota and Venice Beach and all that, and Naples, Fort Myers. I got buddies that live everywhere up and down that coast. I got a lot of friends in Sarasota. I used to live there. Siesta Key, all of it. It's just a great place, but they're all running for their lives now with this Cat 5 bearing down. But the reality is, it's Wednesday night into Thursday morning there. There's no reason they can't play this hockey game in Sunrise, which is really, really South Florida.
Way south.
It's just, it's down by Fort Lauderdale. It's between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. It's along the Turnpike. It's out in Sawgrass. I don't think it has anything to do with that hurricane. That's why they're playing that game. But I would agree with you about everything else you said, and especially the creatures of habit. They don't like playing games at 1:30 anywhere or noon or anything else. That's the reality of it. They like playing at nighttime. That's what they do. They take that nap, then they they eat, they take the nap, then they play at night, and they go into the rink 3 hours before the game. I've been, around the NHL forever. I agree with you about it. I don't know what the appeal is of this game. I don't know what their thinking is at all with these two teams. Like, who wants to watch these two teams?
I would get it if the other team besides Seattle was something with some star power. Let's say you put McDavid and the Oilers in there. Let's say you put Crosby and the Penguins in there. Let's say, you put something with a little sizzle to go along with it.
What is
the Blues
game?
And the Kraken's a little flat to be the first game that they're putting in that triple header. All right, here we go. We'll go later on, and we'll do the other games that are going on tonight. All right, last night, Chiefs beat the Saints 26-13 on Monday Night Football. Chiefs are now 5-0. They're the greatest team ever. Some nights they don't even look that great offensively, and they still win by 10-plus points. Last night, how about Xavier Worthy again getting in the end zone? This time a rushing touchdown, Scotty. Chiefs Radio 96.3 in Kansas City.
Carson Steele is the running back. Chiefs in a power pistol look here. They will shift to Kelsey. Kelsey's in a wildcat position. And to give it off to Worthy on the right side. Worthy sneaks into the end zone. Touchdown! Kansas City on an RPO handoff from Travis Kelsey. And lowering that shoulder and ducking under the defender. And the Chiefs go up 22-13.
All right, I hate to go back, but I have to say this. So I just saw the NHL pregame show for this game with the Blues, and they're actually talking about Philip Broberg. If anyone on the face of the earth knows who the F that is, I'll buy you dinner anywhere you want. They're talking about Philip Broberg. That is the excitement of this pregame show. They're talking about some guy that used to play on the Oilers, or that, no one's ever heard of Philip Broberg. Who is Philip Broberg? You might as well have Nate Hackett playing on the Blues. At least people would know who it is. They're actually talking about players that no one's ever heard of. Is that there's something wrong with that? There really is. Like, this might as well be a chick game. It might as well. I'd rather watch chicks play hockey, and I mean it, than this Blues team or the Smoke Kraken. Now, as far as the Chiefs, there's one thing that stood out to me, is that it is beyond me. Someone explain this to me. Honestly, I need a drink, because this guy, Smith-Schuster, went to New England and evaporated from the face of the earth. He literally became non-existent. He was literally the mocking of him last year, that he was the worst receiver in the NFL. And then he goes back to Kansas City. They pick him up, and the guy's catching like 15 passes. He's running all over the field. He's one side to the next, running down the sideline, down the middle with the ball. And then how about Hunt? He was there like years ago. And what does he do? $1.02. And then Kelsey, he brings back the rock star with him. She's in the crowd. He has 9 catches. Like, it is beyond me how all these guys that don't matter, when they play for this team, they matter again. Like, Smith-Schuster's career was over. Literally no one wanted him. The Chiefs bring him back, and he's their top receiver.
It just makes you so mad if you're not a fan of theirs. Like, if you're not a Chief fan, it gets you so annoyed.
Remember my aunt and uncle? My uncle played in Missouri.
God.
And, the woman is like in her mid-80s, whatever. She's rubbing it in my face last night, giving me the business. She's like, you enjoying the Royals game? What about the Chiefs? I know how much you like them. I'm having dinner right now. I'm having a blast. What a night in Kansas City. And she sent me a picture of her celebrating and gave me the business. Some 85-year-old woman, my aunt, giving me the business. And then remember I told you I gave my buddy, the Phillies fan, the business. He hasn't talked to me since. I got some woman giving me the business. I gave it back to her. I go, you old hag.
Well, I think everybody in Kansas City, now look, people were at the game. I think everyone had their eye on the Royals. In fact, it was so ho-hum for Patrick Mahomes with that win last night that all he cared about was what the Royals were doing. Like, that's all that mattered to him, too.
Well, come on.
I was trying not to be. I really wanted to focus on the game and then look after and maybe get like a scoreboard kind of shot of it. And they gave us a couple of those, but like you could feel that stuff was going good. And there was kind of a lull there, kind of I think towards the end of the game. And I was like, they're not showing it the score. The Yankees came back, but no, the Royals picked it up and got the win. And it was extremely exciting to see that. The fan base, because I mean, obviously we know that the fans at Arrowhead are going to be loud and ruckus and be really into the game. But I haven't got to experience that stadium in Kauffman, sold out playoffs and that stuff, and so it was cool to see that kind of combine.
So let me get this straight. So Monday night they get Monday Night Football at Arrowhead. Wednesday night, tomorrow night at the K, they're sold out. Yankees in town. Game 3, Game 4 Thursday night. What a week in Kansas City to be a sports fan. And I've been there a million times. I've been to that stadium a million times. Been to the city. It's a great place. They're great fans. It is what it is, and I hate all of them.
Yeah, how could you not, to be quite honest with you? How could you not? The Saints stink. They started 2-0. They smashed everybody. Now suddenly they're not so great anymore, as they're now 2-3. Carr left the game with an oblique injury, getting an MRI today. That'll really send their season into the abyss. If they're going to play at Jake Haener at quarterback, that would be who's next up for New Orleans if Carr has. Jake
Is that
Haener,
Philip Broberg's next door neighbor?
Of Fresno State fame, young Jake. So, believe it or not. So there you go for the Saints. That great start down the tubes.
What is happening here?
I know it's tough to believe. A few more things around the NFL when we come back, and then we're going to get to the baseball later. Game 5 coming up, Game 3 coming up at 5 o'clock.
I think the Washington Commanders are one of the best bets to win it all, or at the very least win the NFC.
Their offensive line, I do want to say one thing. It's very average. The coaching is good. They're getting good coaching from Bobby Johnson, their line coach, here from the Giants. But they've kind of overachieved. Let's call it like it is. Daniels has taken them up. Look, that division's not very good, and they could very well win it over the Eagles and the Cowboys. They're not a Super Bowl team.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
So I know you got some Antonio Pierce. I'm very concerned about this game for the Steelers going out to Vegas on Sunday. As far as I'm concerned, they got to win that game. I mean, honestly.
I mean, you shouldn't – you would like to not be concerned about it when you think about how the Raiders have played the last couple of weeks, but I understand what you're saying completely. They look so bad against the Broncos this past week, but they are at home where they do play better. Here's Pierce. Everybody thought that today was going to be the day that the Devontae Adams trade was going to happen, right? Didn't we hear that Tuesday, right? Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. As far as Antonio Pierce is concerned, status quo. Nothing is happening on that front as of yet.
Where did it kind of go sideways?
I don't know. I think I got to ask Devontae that.
What is the latest, though, with that situation?
Status quo.
Oh, status quo. Oh, okay.
Good. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, bye. Bye, Coach. See you later.
This guy is such a waste of time to me. He is so painful. I've had it up to here with this guy. I really have. Like, how is he the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders? How did he get that job? Honestly, I just I can't for the life of me. Like, and then to get away with all of his crimes in the desert. You know, honestly, they got him, didn't they? 8-year show cause they got him for it at Arizona State. He's banned. Bottom line, he's banned from college football. He'll never coach college again. Would you let him around your kids, this guy? If he was a high school coach, would you let him coach your kid? Seriously, when you know how crooked and dirty he is? Let's just face facts. I mean, he's guilty of everything. There's no allegations. There's no allegedly with this guy. God only knows what he's doing in Las Vegas. Already, you know, he's got all kinds of problems with his wife and bankruptcies and owing people, hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know what the hell is going on. I can't believe his press conferences. What I just saw there it's laughable. It really is. It's laughable. He's a joke. I don't care anything. If the Steelers lose to him, honestly, I'm going to cut my fingers off. I really am. I can't.
It would not be an ideal situation if they lost to them. You don't want that at all, going out to Vegas and losing. But I'll also throw this in. I know you love these stories. The Steelers have inquired about Adams. I know that you like when all the trades.
Is that like inquiring about Ayuk? I mean,
They've
they inquire
inquired
about everybody.
They've inquired about Davante Adams. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that Adams still did that like clear the way even more that he wants to go to the Jets? Because remember, it was he wants to go either be with Rodgers or be with Carr. Well, there's a problem. The Jets just fired their coach. Carr's got an oblique problem and is going to go have an MRI. So where does that leave Davante Adams with all of his trade demands and where he wants to play?
First of all, I think I've had the oblique. Certainly, it's a painful injury, but it's like 3 weeks. Like it's 2 or 3 weeks you can play again. Like I've had it in basketball multiple times. It's a problem. It hurts. There's no denying it's like having a knife. You're getting shanked, but it's a tear. It sucks, but you can play in 3 weeks, so it's not the end of the world. I think you can still play with the Saints. But look, the funny thing about the Steelers and this guy, the projection of him going there is pathetic to me because I really don't believe that Fields is some kind of great passer that's going to hook up with Adams and just start leading him to 30-yard ropes. He doesn't do it with Pickens. Like, they got a great receiver they don't even throw the ball to. What makes you think he's going to throw it well to Adams or Russell Calf Wilson? The guy's been injured since he got to Pittsburgh. I know old ladies that get around better than Russell Wilson. Honestly, the old lady going to the Giant Eagle with her cart, walking down the street with one leg, does a better job than Russell Wilson. He's going to practice tomorrow, honestly. Like, we waited for this guy to practice and play since he got there. I mean, honestly, what would make Adams want to play there with those two hacks? I mean, let's face facts. I think Fields is a runner more than he's a thrower, and Russell Wilson is just always injured. I mean, he never plays. And when he does play, he doesn't do anything. I mean, I guess he was decent in Denver, but the whole time he was arguing with his coach. So God only knows when he's going to start arguing with Mike Tomlin when he starts playing and blaming Tomlin. I mean, I don't think Adams wants to be around those two. I think they're average. Wouldn't you rather run around for Aaron Rodgers than either one of them?
Yeah, probably. I'd prefer actually that he ran around for Josh Allen. That would actually be more of my speed. I'd prefer that he went and go
do they have interest in
and
him?
do that. I mean, look, they should, considering they have Mac Hollins and a couple of other hacks currently running around at wide receiver, but they got a bad cap situation because of the Diggs stuff, so they probably aren't going to be in the mix. But God, I wish.
Coleman and Shakir and Knox and Kincaid. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest, after the last couple of weeks. I'm a little nervous about it. And I'll tell you this, too. If Russ practices, like he's supposed to practice in full tomorrow, if Russ practices in full Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I think Mike's going to start him on Sunday. I think that Mike's going to start him on Sunday. Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
People telling me, no. Oh, no. You got to just keep you heard DeCourcy. He told me in the break, he's like, no, he's not the problem. Fields isn't the problem, but is he the answer? I think their problem is Art Smith and that boring-ass play calling and their boring-ass running game and their broke-ass offensive line. And I'm right. There is no other questions to be asked. Their problems are up front. They can't do anything. Like they don't run the ball. They don't pass the ball. Their play calling's boring. Their passing game sucks. They got one receiver. They don't give Freiermuth the ball enough. They got all kinds of issues up front.
And we play Tomlin every week here on Coast to Coast after his Tuesday press conference. Last few weeks, what has he said every time? We're preparing Justin as if he's going to be the guy on Sunday. Didn't say that today. Just said that Russ is going to practice, and we're going to see where we're at. So that makes me think, like you, that he's going to start him. Steelers are 3-point favorites in Vegas on Sunday. 3-point road favorite with a 36.5 total. God, they got to beat the Raiders. You can't lose to them with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell playing quarterback. You just can't do it.
I mean, oh, God. Aiden O'Connell, I'd still play Minshew over that kid any day of the week.
Want to know who to draft and who to avoid in fantasy football? Or want to know who to place NFL season future bets on? Get an insider edge from the former NFL team doctors at Sports Injury Central. The 2024 NFL preseason injury guide is the only in-depth injury report analyzing all 32 teams and over 150 players. So go to sixscore.com to get the most accurate NFL preseason injury report. That's sixscore.com.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Out at the G2E conference in Las Vegas at the lovely Venetian for us on SportsGrid today. And I want to talk to him about a lot of things. But first of all, Brady, good to see you. And nice job with the Sanderson Farms hit, continuing the recent trend of SportsGrid global domination with golf betting.
Oh, my goodness. The golf team here at SportsGrid is on fire. Cam Stewart, Keith Stewart, Mike Carver, Brady Cannon, the fearsome foursome, cashing that 120-1 winner at the Sanderson Farms with Kevin Yu. It was a beautiful thing, my friend.
I got to tell you. So this G2E conference, before I ask you about it, I have to say, one of the things I thought of when I went to see the Dead at the Sphere was when I left the concert and you spill out into the Venetian, I thought to myself as I'm walking through that casino, oh my God, the money they're going to make off of this connection. Having every show spill out into that casino and that fantastic place is just money in the bank.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And right kind of sandwiched between the two, the Sphere and the Venetian and the Palazzo, is, of course, this convention center space. And being here on the floor at G2E for the second year in a row, it's fantastic. Scotty, this is like a kid in a candy store. I've been interviewing a number of guys that invent slot machines, which we're going to have a lot of content on our network, in the near future, showing these casino games and stuff. Talked to a guy that developed a company called Are You Watching This? It's all about content. When you walk into a tavern and they've got some stupid game that means nothing on, but meanwhile, like the Yankees are playing in the playoffs. And, so this guy has developed a system where he sells to businesses on how to structure your content, talking with guys that, empower brands and market brands. And it's amazing being here in the thick of this gaming haven and how it all relates to sports. It's good stuff, man. We're having fun out here.
Well, I looked at the A to Z, the list of exhibitors and what's going on there. It just blew my mind. It's, like nothing I've ever seen before. Now, you've experienced it last year, as you mentioned. How has it grown and exploded? The CES in Vegas is enormous. Compare it to like something like that or something like us at Media Row at the Super Bowl.
Pretty similar, I would say, maybe Super Bowl light, if you will. The traffic wasn't quite as heavy for the media, contingent at the Super Bowl. But as far as where this has come from last year, one of the things I noticed immediately, and of course it's near and dear to my heart, is the bigger presence of sports betting stuff. Last year you had maybe a handful of exhibitors that were dealing with sports betting. There's all kinds of slot machines and table games. And I mean, there's even some like F1 simulator cars in this booth behind us, all kinds of crazy stuff. But, I would say you have at least double to triple the number of companies here on the floor this year that are involved specifically in sports betting. So that's good to see our industry growing just like everything else in this neck of the woods.
Brady Cannon with us at the G2E in Vegas at the Venetian in the conference center. I have to ask you, does it blow your mind to see where the technology has gone and how advanced gaming has become and computerized and just freak stuff that blows your mind? Like, virtual reality, when that hit, everybody was like, boom, wow, this is crazy. What's it like in the gaming business and casino games and this conference seeing the tech?
You discover, Scott, jobs that you didn't even know existed. I just talked with a guy that is from Sweden that actually creates slot games for online gaming. He's got a number of artists and software designers and creative guys all sitting around in an office, and they come up with these games, and they've got some of the most famous slot games in the world. And then you talk to another guy. I talked about the content. He's giving people a map on what should be in their TVs, and then it relates to gaming. You can go on your phone and, do I want to watch LeBron? He's on fire. Or do I want to watch this game? He's got a no-hitter going. You find out about these industries that people have jobs doing full-time and making a lot of money. All we see the superficial stuff, right? We see a game. We see a line. We see a slot machine. We see a poker table. There's so many jobs and people involved in the nuts and bolts behind that stuff, and I'm discovering it all here on the floor. It's really wild.
Wow, it's crazy. I could talk about it for hours. Look at that setup SportsGrid's got at the G2E. Brady, great job. Keep learning. I know you got all that juice out in Vegas. You got all the connections and friends. You got all the inside stuff on casino gaming. You're the man.
I think the Washington Commanders are one of the best bets to win it all, or at the very least win the NFC.
Their offensive line, I do want to say one thing. It's very average. The coaching is good. They're getting good coaching from Bobby Johnson, their line coach, here from the Giants. But they've kind of overachieved. Let's call it like it is. Gales has taken them up. Look, that division's not very good, and they could very well win it over the Eagles and the Cowboys. They're not a Super Bowl team.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The early line. only on SportsGrid.
Carver High. That was pretty cool in Vegas with Brady Cannon and the G2E. Now you've got some staggering news. Again, it seems like your boy Deshaun Watson is paying off women that have accused him of sexual assault.
That's correct. Yes, I have a lot of other things I want to get to, so most of the NFL I'll save for you for tomorrow, but I don't want to let this get by because it's newsy. That newest lawsuit that we talked about last week against Deshaun Watson, that has already, Scotty, as they say, been resolved. However you want to interpret that. The new lawsuit has been resolved, according to all the lawyers.
Must be nice having all that money because he certainly doesn't play quarterback anymore. He's awful, and I think he's about to get dumped. I think they're going to dump him. I really do. I think they're going to eat it. I think Haslam is so rich that he's actually going to get rid of that guy, and they're going to just pay him because his money's guaranteed. And he's using all of his money to live large and to pay off chicks. I mean, one after the next, he has settled lawsuits with like 30 women. 30 women have sued him for sexual assault. And he just keeps paying them off. And he never produces on the football field anymore. He's awful. It's got to end. The Browns have to cut the cord, don't they?
I agree with you, especially since this isn't one of those situations either, I don't think, where you could just be like, it's not a coaching thing. Like, we've seen Stefanski make the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. We saw him last year make the playoffs with Joe Flacco when Watson got hurt. I think Stefanski's a good coach, and I think that if you got Stefanski, Scotty, in a room by himself away from microphones, he'd probably tell you he don't want to play Watson anymore, but I'm sure that there's like this force that is being above him, like the Haslams or Berry or whoever, that says you got to keep playing him because we're paying him $250 million.
No, I actually think that they are not that stupid. I don't believe that a guy that's made that much money, the Haslam and their gas company and all the rest, that he's that stupid. When you make that kind of billions, he's not stupid, all right, in business. He understands business as well as anybody that's a billionaire, and he's just going to have to admit that this guy sucks and that he got burned, he got roasted on the coals by Watson. He got fooled. He bought the Kool-Aid. He drank the Kool-Aid, and now he's got an upset stomach. I think he's had enough of Deshaun Watson. I think Cleveland's had enough of him. I think the Browns fans have had enough of him. I think Stefanski's had enough of him. Haslam, all of them, the whole front office. It's got to end. It's only getting worse. And I think they're sick and tired of hearing about him paying off women that he allegedly sexually assaulted. I think they're sick of it. Like, they were embarrassing to get in bed with him, this guy. This guy's going to go away, I think, in short order, be finished in the NFL. And people are going to remember him for basically being a guy that lost his mind going to massage parlors and allegedly raping women. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, the end of his story is a movie. I mean, if someone had some stones, they'd make a movie about this pervert. I mean, honestly, he's a freak. Anyone that does what he's done and multiple times, and every single time he settles lawsuits, people settle lawsuits when they're guilty. Okay? Let's get real here.
Yeah. If the Browns cut him before June 1st of next year, they would owe him $92 million, and they would take a $173 million hit against their salary cap. If they cut him after June 1st of next year, they would still incur over $86 million in penalties over the next two seasons. $173 million cap.
So you know what that spells is that the Browns are going to stink for the next 10 years.
Or they're just listen. The other thing you do is he's going to sit there and not play.
No,
right? I mean, if they ever pulled the cord,
no, get rid of him. He's a cancer.
How can you cut That's tough. They will suck for 10 years. If they have to take a $173 million cap hit, that buries you. Look at how badly I cry about the Bills with Diggs, and that's only like $50 million. And I cry about that. 170. That's nuts.
Let's get real here. All right, let's look at Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
$75 million they paid him in a golden parachute to go away, and then they hired a new coach and gave him tons of money. So it's simple. This is professional sports. Haslam has the money. They'll be fine. But the price paid for doing a deal with this guy is going to be an absolute train wreck. The bloodletting, the derailment of the franchise is coming because of Deshaun Watson, because of that cap hit that you're talking about. It's going to cost them for at least 7 years, at a bare minimum. It's going to cost them for 7 years. It's going to ruin them. But it is what it is. And everyone in sports, just like today, Robert Saleh, they owe him a ton of money, and they got to pay him. Everyone in professional sports that gets fired, it seems like, or even college, gets paid all kinds of money to go away. There's no such thing as getting fired anymore in college and pro sports without having a safety net buyout, a firing buyout of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $100 million. You hire a coach, and when you fire them, you're paying them until you're blue in the face, and life goes on. Nothing will change. They will still have a team. They will still go out, and they will still sell out. They will still make money, but their cap hit will be the strangulation, the rope around their neck will be hangman's noose on the Cleveland Browns. I mean, honestly, mic drop.
Yeah, and that's the biggest difference between doing it with a coach and it being something like this. It's going to affect the building of your team for a very long time when you have to go and do something like. I want to say before I go to the baseball, I have the Seattle game on. I'll give him credit. Place is jammed at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. They did fill the barn for opening afternoon.
Who cares? Who cares? Why not smoke a couple bowls and go to the hockey game? Skip school.
That's it.
Skip work. Dan Bilesma's first season as coach. The last time I saw him, he was with the Penguins. It's been so long since he's been a head coach. I'll give you this, though. I always thought the guy could coach.
Yes. I know it didn't go well for him in Buffalo, but it never goes well for anybody in Buffalo.
For anybody.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't go well for anybody in Buffalo. All right. Mets and Phillies starts in about 20, 25 minutes. Let's start to get into that. I'll play you some stuff, and then we'll do the numbers after the break. They will be at Citi Field, Game 3. We told you yesterday it's been weeks since the Mets have been home. Here is Carlos Mendoza. The Mets themselves, they are ready for a raucous Citi Field crowd.
Yeah, obviously, we're back, and we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We had to go through a lot, not only traveling, but playing good teams. We needed to get to the playoffs, then advance, and win that wild card. But I always have faith on the guys, on the players. We continue to believe. And we took it one day at a time, one series at a time, and that's what we'll continue to do. And here we are, back in Citi Field, and with a tremendous opportunity to win a series and keep going.
I got to be honest, Mike. Honestly, I'm getting a little tired of hearing about all their travel, woes and, they've been on the road so long and they got dirty underwear. I'm sick of hearing about it. If they win the series, they're going to have to keep traveling anyway. You want to win?
Correct.
You gotta travel. If they don't win both games at Citi Field, they got to go back to Philadelphia to the bank for a Game 5. And if you win the series, you're gonna go on the road again because you're a wild card team and you're gonna end up playing the Padres or the Dodgers, right? So I still think wouldn't the Padres have? I think they had a better record. I think they'd have home field. So. You're going to fly to California either way to play L.A. or to play. See, I'm sick of hearing about their travel problems. Now, what their problem is now is they got to beat the Phillies. I mean, the Phillies are a damn good baseball team. That's their problem. They think they're just home and they're going to win both games. That's imaginary stuff. They got to go out and execute and win the games.
I think the Washington Commanders are one of the best bets to win it all, or at the very least win the NFC.
Their offensive line, I do want to say one thing. It's very average. The coaching is good. They're getting good coaching from Bobby Johnson, their line coach. Here from the Giants, but they've kind of overachieved. Let's call it like it is. Daniels has taken them up. Look, that division's not very good, and they could very well win it over the Eagles, and the Cowboys. They're not a Super Bowl team.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not Gene.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
So I know that Aaron Nola against Minaya here in about 20 minutes at Citi Field. Like I said, Mike, they got their work cut out for them. I mean, there is no denying that the Phillies are good and that they're tough and that they're resilient as New York is. You know what I mean? Like New York rallied. They had the big 5-run inning and won game 1. And in the 8th inning, then in the 9th inning, they hit the Vientos home run. They still lose on a walk-off by Castellanos, right? So this is a very tough team they're playing. It's no walk in the park, and neither is facing Nola. He's tough.
Nola is very tough. Of course, he's been very good in the playoffs in the past for the Phillies. He's also got some pretty good history at Citi Field, specifically against the Mets. Not good at home against the Mets, but on the road at Citi, he has been very good. He's looking forward to today.
Do you relish getting the ball here on the road, in front of a pretty hostile fan base?
Yeah, I mean, whatever I can do to try to contribute and try to put the team in the best chance to win in a playoff game, whether it's home or road, I was fine with. This is a pretty cool place to play, pretty cool place to pitch. I pitched here quite a few times, and first time in the postseason, so definitely looking forward to it.
Well, there you go. So we'll see if Minaya can handle it. I mean, there's got to be stress pitching in Citi Field in Queens, and it'll be rowdy, lit, packed, and crazy. Can he handle the moment? I mean, this is enormous. The guy that I've been impressed with for them was Quintana. That guy went out and said, "I'm not afraid of this moment. Give me the ball." I liked what I saw from him. Now, let's see. And to do that in Milwaukee, right, on the road, I thought was stressful. Let's see how Minaya handles the stress in Queens this afternoon.
And Minaya does not have great numbers against some of these Philly hitters here, Scotty. Here we go. Listen to this. Castellanos, 6 for 16 with 3 home runs. Harper, 4 for 11 with a homer. Schwarber, 2 for 6 with a homer. Turner, 5 for 16 with a homer. Bohm, 2 for 10 with a homer. Sosa, 4 for 8 with a homer. Hayes, 2 for 3 with a homer. 7 of the 9 guys in the Philly lineup today have homered off of Minaya in their careers. Now, as good as Nola's been, a few guys on the Mets hit him pretty good. Alonso, 16 for 50 with 5 homers off of Aaron Nola in his career. Nimmo's got 2 homers off of him. Winker, Marte, Alvarez. So there's some guy. This could be a game tonight, and the total's a flat 7 right now. As I give you the numbers, I'm even seeing some 6.5 some places. Phillies minus 115, Mets minus 105, flat 7. I feel like we could get some runs here with these two today again.
Well, it sounds like it from the numbers that you just gave us. Those were staggering, that they both hit each other's pitchers like nobody's business. So, look, I thought there was more weight on the Philadelphia numbers than there were on the Mets. I thought there was about 3 or 4 Mets that hit Nola, and I thought there was about 9 Phillies that tagged Manaea. I think that's why they're favored. I think Nola's got way more big game experience, and he's a road pitcher. The guy can pitch on the road. He's their best road pitcher. I think they have an edge on the Mets today. The thing that bothers me, and obviously I'm rooting for Mafia's Mets, but I think that, Mendoza and all these Mets act like that they're home, and so it's all gravy now. We finally got off the road, and we're home. Thank God we're home, because now we get to play in front of our fans. And, well, you also have the opportunity to screw it up in front of your fans and not get it done. And I think they got a dangerous customer on the hill today. I lean Phillies. I want the Mets to win. As a bettor, I lean Phillies today.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that over again. I'm going to take some runs. And look, I think if the Mets are going to win this, I think they got to win today. I know they've been great at coming back. I think the chances of them winning 4 and 5 back in Philly are not great. I think they win today. They're going to have themselves in much better shape, obviously. So I think I'm kind of siding with you on the Philly side of things. But in terms of going to the window, I'm just going with the over for this one.
The over, but you think that they have to win today because they won't win on games 4 and 5 on the road. 4 at home, 5 on the road. I can see them winning 4 at home and losing 5 on the road. But also, I'll give you this. To me, they have been more the cardiac, team of any of these division teams. The best team has been the Mets when it comes to cardiac arrest. They have won more games out of their arse than I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a team pull it out of their, like the rabbit out of the hat, as many times as they have. So if anyone could win a game 5 on the road in the 8th or 9th inning, it's the Mets.
They certainly could. I just think very tough ask if they lose tonight to win 4 and 5 in those 2 different spots. But we shall see. Going to be a lot of fun. All right, the other game tonight is Dodgers and Padres, Game 3 at Petco with the soft serve ice cream. Now, I have a few things here from Dave Roberts yesterday. Now, we spoke about the nonsense with the fans Sunday night during Game 2 at Chavez Ravine. Let's do it. We'll probably play the first Roberts now and the next one after the break. Here he is saying that the Padres like playing up the role of being the bad guy.
We'll be ready to go. I don't want to speak individually for some people. I mean, I think clearly, that team over there is, they like the villain type kind of role, and they feed off that. And so whatever, gets us going, the motivation is individually, collectively to win a baseball game, to win a series.
Listen, I got no problem with that. I think he might be right. They are the villain. They want to, look, the mighty Dodgers that everyone thinks is going to win the World Series, that everyone thinks is playing the Phillies, that everyone thinks has no problem with the Padres. Well, they had a problem with them in 22, didn't they? They like beating the Dodgers more than any team in baseball. I told you this week on the show already. The Dodgers only hate the San Francisco Giants. That's the team they hate. They think the Padres are like a mosquito flying around their head in a hotel bed, driving them nuts all night, and they can't find a mosquito. Well, that's what they are to them. They think they're just a gnat.
Whereas I agree with you and him on that, the one we're going to play when we come back is complete nonsense, where he starts talking about Machado throwing a ball at him in that game is what really started all the problems the other day. So we'll play that when we return. Another Dave Roberts, and give you the numbers for tonight, Game 3 out at Petco.
I think the Washington Commanders are one of the best bets to win it all, or at the very least win the NFC.
Their offensive line, I do want to say one thing. It's very average. The coaching is good. They're getting good coaching from Bobby Johnson, their line coach. Here from the Giants, but they've kind of overachieved. Let's call it like it is. Gales has taken them up. Look, that division's not very good, and they could very well win it over the Eagles, and the Cowboys. They're not a Super Bowl team.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
He already has more than 1,000 yards. The last three running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, did not have more than 650 in their opening 5 games of the year. Ashton Genty on pace to strike the pose in December.
Statistics matter. Blow every record out of the water, and he will be a Heisman. Disgraceful performance by the head coach, not genius.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I think that Dave Roberts is tripping about this Machado thing. Tripping.
I agree. Tripping, I don't think is the word for it. When I had to go and look at this video of what he was referencing that they sent to the league, the ball was 15 feet away from him. Now, this never happens. The team never throws the ball towards the other dugout when they're throwing the ball in. Fine. But listen to him right now. You would think from this clip of Dave Roberts that Machado threw a 95-mile-an-hour heater at his dome and it scraped the top of his head. Here's Dave Roberts yesterday talking about this.
So I didn't notice it at the time. I really didn't. I didn't notice it. I did see the video, and it was unsettling.
European.
Unsettling.
Obviously, I have a relationship with Manny from years past. There was intent behind it. It didn't almost hit me because there was a net.
What a loser you are, dude.
This is weak.
And that was very bothersome.
Weak.
It's
very
if it was
bothersome.
intended at me, I'd be very. It's pretty disrespectful. So I don't know his intent. I don't want to speak for him, but I did see the video, and the ball was directed at me with something behind it.
You gotta stop.
Bro, you are such a pea. It's not even funny. What an absolute wuss bag this guy is. You gotta be kidding me that you took time out of your day to try to run this thing up the ladder. I mean, honestly, and they went to the league. I mean, how pathetic is? I mean, I lost all respect for this guy right here and now. That is an absolute pathetic joke that he thinks that Machado threw a heater at him, and meanwhile the thing was it was literally a block away from him.
I couldn't believe that he went that far with that yesterday. Well, listen, all it's doing is it's just throwing more logs on the fire. Yeah. And apparently that incident is what led to Flaherty yelling at Machado, and that led to all these guys yelling. All the nonsense that
Flaherty's ass.
Machado would probably beat plenty of those guys' ass. Machado's a tough dude. I wouldn't want to mess with Machado. That's for sure. Here's another guy I don't want to mess with, especially when he's standing in the batter's box. How about your boy, Tatis so far? 7 for 11 in the playoffs with 2 homers, a double, 3 walks. That's in 4 games, as he has been on an absolute tear. I think that works out to like 650 he's hitting.
He's another guy that's Jack you don't want to F with. He'll beat somebody's ass, too. Is there anything worse than, like, Flaherty acting like he's anything more than a paper tiger?
Yeah,
I mean,
no doubt.
He's
no
a wussy.
doubt.
No one's afraid of you, dude. Don't act tough because you got a bunch of guys that'll stand in front of the guy that's going to come after you and beat your ass.
The Padres, of course, will have Michael King tonight in game number 3 at home. He was excellent
He means business.
last week against the Braves with that 12 strikeout performance. Walker Buehler goes for the Dodgers. Padres are favorites here, substantial, minus 155. Dodgers plus $130 and a 7.5 here again tonight.
Well, listen, I think Michael King is a badass, but the Dodgers lineup is so dangerous that I think that number is way inflated. I really do. I think it should be $1.25, $1.30 at most. I think there's way too much juice involved there. I'm just hoping to God that he mows them down and that they win at Petco tonight in front of their fans, the Friar faithful. That's what I'm hoping for. And what I want to see is I'd like it on the run line. I want them to win by a couple runs or more, and then it would pay off. I'm not doing $1.55 against that team, against that lineup. Now, there's no way I believe that Mookie Betts is going to go 2 years without a hit in the postseason. I just don't believe it.
I agree.
And I think one of the things that's hurt him is Freddie Freeman's ankle. But this is a dangerous team that can score a lot of runs, and they're not afraid of Michael King. I think Mike's a really good pitcher who's been dominant this year. He's been amazing. That was, how they got Soto. He has turned into a stud for them. In fact, he has replaced Joe Musgrove, who's now having Tommy John. The only guy that matters now, in my opinion, now Darvish can pitch, but King's turned into their real ace badass.
He certainly has. You want more crazy Tatis numbers? How about Tatis against Walker Buehler? 9 for 29 with 4 home runs in his career. So maybe we ring the bell with Tatis again tonight. Speaking of Buehler, your boy got clipped for a 100K watch at Santa Anita last weekend.
Whoa.
Bad scene for him. No good.
Oof.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.